What's up, and welcome back to the Football House, presented by House Enterprise, weekly college football pick'em show, and we are on to week 9. We got Cole Hughes, Sam Basil, Jake Zimmer, Gracie Marks, and myself, Will Tondo. Full house tonight while Clubfoot Jim is in class, so prayers up to Jimmy boy over there. But not too bad of a week, everyone. Round of applause to the crew, because everyone was pretty much plus money except Clubfoot Jim. Again, that's in the chat for Jimmy boy, but that's all right. But how's everyone doing this week? And let's recap it off. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Bounced back last week after 2 weeks ago, not having a hot week at all. So happy to kind of turn the table back around. Hopefully we can keep that progress going.
Yeah, same. I mean, I was feeling really good last week. I think I've been saying all season long, like the way that college football kind of works, right, is like all the spreads in the first 3 to 4 weeks are so bad. You have no idea how these teams are going to pan out. And I'm glad that we did really well this week, but it also kind of put some, pressure on myself and maybe the rest of us, because now I got to say, look, now I'm feeling more confident. I got to be better with my pick. So, it's a give and take here.
Yeah, same. It was solid. I was score watching in Philly at the NLCS. It was electric watching that Tulane cover at the very end. I was sweating at Citizens Bank Park, scoreboard watching, because Memphis was literally going to score at the end of the game and Tulane wasn't going to cover. And I'm walking through Citizens Bank Park on my phone, scoreboard watching, but thank God they covered. Roll Wave for life. I owe them, because I had them in that parlay and the spread. Roll Wave all the way.
I was going to say the parlay was Tulane cover, Ole Miss, and
it was a Tulane money line, Oregon money line, and Liberty plus 7.5. And Liberty won outright. They won by 20 plus, so it was pretty easy.
Nice little win. So I'm hoping for a parlay this week. That'll be money.
Yeah, I'm cooking.
Also, want to call attention to Syracuse too. The crew. I was not on the show last week. Seems like there was some buzz in the chat about how folks agreed with it. And plus 13, Syracuse is legit. Don't want to spoil any of my picks for later, but I think Syracuse. I was stone cold wrong. It is a shame that I have to pick them this week.
Yeah, they played great the first half. They really shot themselves in the foot in the second half. Just really couldn't do anything on offense. Clemson started to get going. They had a couple big penalties that changed the outcome of that game ultimately. But a game they probably should have won. And had they won, Syracuse would be a very talked about team in the country this week. So I definitely agree, Jake. I think they're definitely still legit. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull it off last week, but we'll see what happens this week when they play Notre Dame. My boys.
Good wins. Good teams win. Great teams cover. So the plus 13 was spot on. Was a spot on pick. So this is what the crew's looking like right now. Cole still holds that top spot with 58%. He's climbing. He's trying to hit 60. He's trying to hit 70%. Myself and Basil, I'm in second at 56%. Basil and Gilly are tied at 54. Clubfoot Jim right at the 50 mark. And our two friends, Zimmer and Gracie, tied for 5th with 40.
I'm actually surprised that Kent State game ended up actually not being too bad. I feel like I teed it up last week to be a fun rivalry, but an awful game. But 33-27 is not too terrible for the latest installment of the Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, Penn State. I don't know. That was just, it was almost non-competitive in my opinion. And even I forget, what was the score of that game? That was something, I don't know what Penn State did. But they went out and they showed out the entire time. That was almost not competitive, like I mentioned. So Penn State, Death Valley, man, it's a wild place, and that's where good teams go to die. Which another Penn State home game this week too, and Ohio State's coming into town. That could be very interesting.
Yeah. So, all right, Zimmer, if you want to kick things off with your pick.
Oh, wow. All right. We're hopping right into it. I mean, I'm going to throw maybe some of these sound egregious here, but let's bring my picks in. I'm going to take TCU -7 over West Virginia first. TCU's been a road warrior all year. They've performed well on the road. West Virginia stinks. They lost my trust early in the year, and I think TCU's got enough that they could sneak in with things going right. One of these top 6 teams loses and they went out the rest of the year. I think they could put themselves in the conversation, weirdly enough. So backs against the wall. This is a team you got to beat in West Virginia. Give me TCU -7. Penn State, I've seen enough from them. They look good. They look really good. And now they're 15.5 underdogs against Ohio State. I don't know. I was very high on Ohio State when we started our show this year. And now I think I'm going to just say something wildly crazy. Look, I'm in 5th place. I need to start making some bold claims. Otherwise, I'm screwed. So give me Penn State. They might not win, but this is going to be a pretty close game in my opinion. Also going to take Cincinnati. I had it at +1. Now it's +2 over Central Florida. And Cincinnati's another team that we talked about a couple weeks ago. It's like, how do you recover from losing some really good talent? Sauce Gardner, obviously, at the top of the list. And Cincinnati seems to be in more of a rhythm now, ranked 21 of the AP top 25. This is a road game for them as well. And Central Florida is a good football team. I think Cincinnati's going to keep their momentum going to put themselves in a good situation to compete for an American title this year. I'm going to take Utah over Washington State too. This is a team that has established they're good. Sorry, Gracie, but when the lights come on, as you mentioned, this is a team that showed out against USC. This is a team that's going to show out again against Washington State. And then finally, I'm going to take UConn +7.5 over Boston College. We have established from week 1, Will Tondo quoted as saying Boston College are frauds. And I fully support this statement. Look, UConn's not a great football team, but you got to think, can they close the gap to a touchdown at home against the bottom of the barrel ACC football? That's where I'm putting my money. UConn +7.5 over Boston College this week. We'll do locks real quick, and then we'll get into rivalries and game of the weeks later. But Syracuse -2.5. I'm taking them against Notre Dame. Now, Syracuse shot themselves in the foot in the second half. They were up. They looked to be in command of that game against Clemson this past week. They blew it. Clemson's a good football team. So is Syracuse, though. And I think Syracuse has enough that, 2.5, is that a winning by a field goal against Notre Dame? Is that disrespectful? Are they going to perceive it as disrespectful? I certainly think they will. So give me Syracuse -2.5. I think they're going to cover this. FCS, Villanova is cruising right now, and they're playing Hampton, who's not great. So not a lot of logic for my FCS lock here, other than Villanova's good. Hampton's not. Those are locks.
I mean, UConn has to cover and win this game. I don't know how much longer UConn has a football program. I know it's a sure lock, even though they're in the Big East. I know boosters love football, but UConn's just so bad. They're just bad. And again, Boston College is even worse, and I hate Boston College. The Eagles are not the same without Luke Kuechly and Matt Ryan, anchoring the offense and the defense. But Boston College is bad. UConn has to cover.
What is UConn's even record? This is one of those I didn't even check. All right, they're 3-5. Who are they with?
Yeah, they're improving, but they're still, they're bad.
Central Connecticut.
They lost to
Fresno,
Holy Cross
and
this year,
SIU.
right?
That was last year. They lost to Holy
last
Cross.
year.
Yeah. But that was, they fired their coach. Jim Mora is in the building. Mora.
You can't be him Mora when you're 3-4.
Yeah, he's 3-5, actually.
That's like, I mean, we're not talking baseball show, and I'm not trying to get a ricochet shot to the Mets when the Yankees just got washed. but putting Edwin Diaz trumpets when you're down, about to get lose to the Padres, that's a Himura moment.
I guess. I don't know, but
I will say though, Zimmer, I do like the Penn State pick. They're at home. They've been playing pretty well, like you've been saying. I don't know if they're going to beat Ohio State, but hey, you never know what happens up in Pennsylvania this time of year. They could shock everyone and pull up a huge upset win, which would definitely have an impact on the top 25 rankings and potentially college football playoffs. So excited to see what happens there for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, Happy Valley, man. Beaver Stadium. I said Death Valley by accident before. It's Happy Valley, the total opposite. Lots of crazy shit goes down there. Lots of crazy stuff. All I'm saying is don't be surprised if this comes down to like a 2-minute drill. Somebody 2-minute drilling the other. I don't know who. I'm willing to say that it's close enough. I mean, 15.5 points is a lot for a good football team like Penn State. Yeah, Ohio State's number 2. What of it? I think they're going to get a run for their money. I really do think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big game, too, for C.J. Stroud and his Heisman run, right? Like, let's see what happens when he plays a legit defense in Penn State. Like, we've talked about this earlier in the year. Manny Diaz is their defensive coordinator this year. He was at Miami the past couple of years. He's been doing a great job up in Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see how the Buckeyes offense performs against the Nittany Lions defense this week, too.
Cole, why don't you continue with your picks while you're at it?
All right, so I'll hop right into it. My FBS lock of the week is going to be New Mexico State -2 against UMass. As everyone knows, UMass is an atrocious football team. They probably should go back to the FCS. They shouldn't even be in the FBS because they clearly cannot win football games at this level. They've been at this level since 2011. They have not had a single season where they've won more than 5 games. The most amount of wins they've had in a season is 4, which is just absolutely terrible. They've had so many coaches come through, head coaches, and it seems just like every year nothing's changing there. They just cannot figure it out. They were 1-11 last year. They have 1 win this year, I believe. So, I mean, New Mexico State is no great football team either. They have 2 wins, but I think it's a lock that they go into UMass and win by 2 points. So I'll take them for my FBS lock. Moving on to FCS. This is a tough one. I hate to do it to Basil, but I am going to take the Holy Cross Crusaders money line against Fordham. It should be an unbelievable game. 2 great teams in a battle for the Patriot League. Whoever wins this game come Saturday is probably going to win that conference. I think it'll be really close. They're 2 similar teams, but I like Holy Cross just because it's at home. I could see Fordham winning the game, but my gut's telling me Holy Cross, so I'm going to take them as my lock in the FCS. Moving on to my regular picks, I'm going to jump on Zimmer's pick of Cincinnati. I had them at +1.5 against UCF. Another game where, these 2 teams are pretty similar, but, I spoke about it last week. I took Cincinnati against SMU. They didn't cover -3.5. They only ended up winning that game by 2 points. But, ever since week 1, they've been on a roll. They haven't lost a game since they opened up and lost to Arkansas in week 1. So I think they're starting to find their stride, and I like them to go down to Florida and beat UCF this week. So I'll take them +1.5. Going over to the SEC, number 25 in the top 25, South Carolina Gamecocks. Who would have thought that this team would be ranked at any point this season? I know I wouldn't have. They're playing Missouri this week at home. I have them -4. They've been on a bit of a run as well. They have 3 wins, in a row. Couple of those wins have been really impressive. They beat A&M. They beat Kentucky, 2 pretty good teams. A&M, not really. They've been frauds, but Kentucky's an impressive win. And, I like them this week against Missouri. Shane Beamer, their head coach, he's done a great job ever since he got there. Last year was his first year. before he got there, they were 2-8 as a program. They were the laughing stock of the SEC. He comes in his first year, he gets them a winning record, 7-6. To get to 7 wins after having 2 the year before, that's really impressive. They ended up winning the Duke's Mayo Bowl last year. And if you guys recall, I think Beamer got mayo dumped on him, which is absolutely disgusting. But hey, players coach, he'll do anything for his guys. I love it. They're 5-2 this year. I think that train keeps rolling. His dad was a legendary coach at Virginia Tech for years, Frank Beamer. So I think he's starting to make a name for himself, which is good. And hopefully he can keep up that success. So we'll take South Carolina in that game. Keeping in the SEC, I'm going to take number 15, Ole Miss. They're playing A&M, the frauds, Jimbo. I can't stand this team. I hope Ole Miss absolutely annihilates them. I'm surprised it's only 2 points. I know the game is in A&M, but Ole Miss is an electric team. Yes, they lost last week in Death Valley. LSU's been finding their stride, so I'm not really putting too much into that. I think this is a big game for the Rebels to bounce back. Next week they have Bama, and that game, if they win this week, take care of A&M, that game's pretty much going to decide who's going to the SEC championship, them or Bama. So I think they got to have a statement win this week and, get ready for the Tide. A&M, they're 1-3 in SEC play this year, haven't been able to keep up with the big boys. So I think that continues. They're only averaging around 21 points a game. On offense, that's not too much, and I think it's going to be hard to keep up with Ole Miss's offense, who's averaging just under 40 points. So I'll take the Rebels -2 in College Station. And then my last pick of the week is going to be number 10, Wake Forest, the Deacon Demons, -3.5 over Louisville. Wake Forest, they've been really impressive this year. They could be undefeated. Came very close to beating Clemson about a month ago. They had that overtime game. They've been playing really well. The last 2 games, they've put up over 40 points against BC. Yeah, not a great team, but also Army. They have the 10th best scoring offense in all of the FBS, and their quarterback, Sam Hartman, he is electric. He's 6th in the nation for passing touchdowns, behind guys like Will Rogers at Mississippi State and CJ Stroud, 2 big names. But he's got 21 passing touchdowns already, and I think he's gonna torch up Louisville's defense this week. And I like the Deacon Demons -3.5. So those are going to be my picks for this week, and I'll hold on to my rivalry and game of the week picks.
Right on. Mr. Basil, let's hear it.
All right. So some pretty fun picks this week. Just a lot of stuff I really, really like this week, and a lot of matchups. I think we had a really tough time figuring out our rivalry game this week. I mean, it's obviously the best choice out of all of them, but I think a lot of these games have like a really fun history, and I think are all worth checking out. So definitely Ohio State, Penn State over 62. These teams are just absolute monsters right now in the Big Ten, both just putting up a crazy amount of points. So, I mean, 62, like over 62, that's like a 26, like a 30 to 27 game. I think, no. Wow. Bad math there. Probably like a 35 to 30 game will get you right over that hump. Even like a 35-28 game will get you right at the right at a push. So I think that's the best way to go here. Not to retread too much ground that Cole just covered there, but Ole Miss -2 over Texas A&M. A&M is bad, and Ole Miss needs a win here to stay alive in the SEC. Title game conversation, because they got that big game against Alabama coming up in about a week or two. That's also going to be, kind of like a divisional title game for them. So they got to win here. Fresno State over San Diego State, the oil can game. It's a game named after, these two teams have been in close proximity to each other for a long time. But, when these two teams were playing each other back in the 30s and 40s, it was a long journey. So sometimes cars who were, people who were driving from Fresno to San Diego had to actually stock up on extra oil, extra gas, just to get there for the game. So one year while they were doing construction on the San Diego State campus, they found an oil can from Fresno from the 1930s and turned it into a trophy. Right now, so whoever's going to win the latest oil can, I think it's going to be Fresno State, and they're going to cover by 8.5, because although their record right now does not show it, I think they could be a strong contender in a pretty level, and I have to say pretty mediocre Mountain West Conference this season. I mean, I think they're 3-4 right now, but they're 2-1 in Mountain West play, and they just took down New Mexico State 41-9. They got a lot of players heating up at the right time. Jordan Mims, Logan Fife. I mean, these guys are, I think, have the chance to put together a pretty high-powered offense. So I'm going to take them to cover -8.5. This is a bit of a tough pick, although I'd recommend throwing a unit on here. Hawaii moneyline versus Wyoming. Another Mountain West game, another rivalry trophy. This time called the Paniolo Trophy, which is Native Hawaiian for cowboy, as Wyoming is known. They are known as the Cowboys, and so this trophy was created by people from Hawaii who lived and went to Wyoming University to kind of bring together these two schools and kind of have a fun rivalry here. Hawaii, not a great team this year, and honestly, Wyoming is pretty good. They're 5-3 right now. But when they're limited, when they're playing against, kind of some freaky defenses that might, cause turnovers and whatnot, they don't fare too well. Anytime they score like 21 points or under, they've lost every single game this season. I think this game is going to be a low-scoring defensive game that sees Hawaii come out on top, just eking out a win here. My FBS lock of the week, Syracuse -2.5. They continue to roll through the ACC. We might be able to see them push for an ACC title game. Who knows? And, Notre Dame has just been a huge disappointment this year. So I'm going to have to take them. Syracuse -2.5. My FCS lock of the week. This is the one I've been most excited for. I've held off betting on Fordham again for my FCS since week 1 because I wanted to save it for this game, the Ram Crusader Cup versus Holy Cross. Probably the biggest rivalry for Fordham outside of, their basketball rivalry and everything else with Manhattan College. This is a rivalry trophy that I think, not only in terms of FCS, but in college football is really historic. It goes back all the way to 1902. And it was created, in celebration of a man named Frank Kavanaugh, who was a really big college football coach in the Northeast in the 1910 to the 1930s. Coached both at Fordham and at Holy Cross. So this trophy was kind of like a commemorative trophy for them to kind of come together and celebrate Coach Kavanaugh, who was known as the Iron Major. And Fordham, although Holy Cross has won the last 5 Ram Crusaders Cups, I think Fordham is coming in with such a high-powered offense, one of the best in FCS right now. Tim DeMorat, probably the best, if not the best quarterbacks in FCS. Fotis Kokosoulis, Trey Sneed, a high-powered offense that we haven't seen since Fordham last beat Holy Cross in the Ram Crusader Cup at Yankee Stadium in 2016. That was a team that was led by Chase Edmonds, who plays for the Miami Dolphins right now. So I'm going to go Fordham with the money line here, but I'm staying away from the spread because, if anything, while I think this Fordham offense is, historic, and I think I can get them to an at-large bid in the FCS playoffs, this defense lets up a lot of points. We saw it against Ohio, we saw it against Albany, and we're probably going to see it again against Holy Cross in what should be the official, unofficial Patriot League title game. So that's what I've got. That's my card.
Sam Basil, the history book.
Yeah.
He's
a lot of hours on Wikipedia just finally paying off here.
I love it. All right, Gracie, you're up.
All right. My card starting off UNC money line against Pitt. Pitt's horrible. I mean, they have not lived up to expectations this year. UNC has Drake May as their quarterback, who's been, he should really be in the Heisman conversation up there with Sam Hartman. But yeah, UNC's kind of had a sneaky, really good season. They're 6-1, and we talk about Clemson and Syracuse and that side of the ACC, and I get like UNC plays in the Coastal Division, but they're having a sneaky good year, and they've been great. So I'm taking them against Pitt. Nebraska, Illinois under 50.5. Illinois actually has the best defense, I believe, in college football. They allow like 9 points per game, which is crazy. And Nebraska on the road in the morning, Big Ten game, I just don't see them scoring points. Yeah, I see this definitely going under. Whenever I see a Big Ten game in the morning with a higher like total of like 45, I immediately just take the under. And then I'm on Wake money line as well. Everything that Cole said, totally agree with. Sam Hartman is a stud. Like him and Drake May are kind of the same to me in there. They should be more in the Heisman conversation. They're both like plus 4,000, I believe, to win the Heisman. And I think they should like almost be up there with like, I love the guy, but Caleb Williams. Like I think they should definitely be in that same conversation. And then I'm on Q's money line, big bounce back. I did not watch the game last week, but from what you guys said in the chat and what you guys have been saying tonight, like they were in it. They kind of blew it at the end, but they've had a great season. They're going to be back at home against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, we all know, like they're on my no betting list. I will never bet like on Notre Dame this year. So I'm taking Syracuse. Back at home. I don't know if you consider the Dome like a scary football environment. Maybe it's like turning into that this year. But I'm taking Q's money line, and then going back to old reliable USC first half spread. I believe it's like -7, -6.5, and they're back. They had a bye week last week, and then they lost to Utah the week before, so they're back. And, they just have a lot of get-right games before the game against UCLA. And that's going to be actually a huge game for the first time in a really long time. USC, UCLA is going to be electric in LA, which, like, I don't know how – it's been, like, years. So they just have a lot of get-right games. They can't lose another game after losing to Utah before the UCLA game. So I just like them to steamroll every team. They're at Arizona. We all know Arizona stinks. So I'm going to take them first half -7. Should be a late night game here on the East Coast, and I'm looking forward to sweating it out. But yeah, they just got to tune up, get ready for UCLA, and they literally cannot lose another game. So yeah, those are my picks, and I'll do the rivalry and game of the week when we get to it.
Right on. All right, for myself, so similarly to what the crew said, I got Ole Miss -2. That's a must-win, must-cover. So no need to rehash that one. My second, Tennessee, Kentucky. I was flipping back and forth between the spreads. I'm just going to confidently say the over. I think that'll smash 60 points. Hopefully Kentucky can, string out at least 20 of them to make it an easier over 63, but I like that. My next one, which I'm pretty confident on, is TCU -7.5. I just think on paper and by the numbers, they are much better than West Virginia. I understand, it is at, in Morgantown. I like TCU scoring over 45 points a game so far this season. I think they could easily win by a touchdown. Also have Cincinnati +2, like many others on the show. I like that. And then I will ride with the Cuse Orange again, -2.5. I like that pick. My FBS lock, Oklahoma -1, pretty much the money line against the Kansas. I wish I can be more confident they are Kansas, right? I'm not making that one up. I'm confusing with my notes. No, it's Iowa State. My apologies. Mixing up my games. I think this is a big win after beating Kansas. So coming off a bye week, I like that. And then my FCS lock, which I'm surprised no one took, was Appalachian State minus 33.5 against Robert Morris. Robert Morris is not a good team. 0-7. They barely score 14 points a game. Appalachian State, a similar game that they played like this was against Citadel, and they blanked them 39-0. I'm usually hesitant against large spreads like this, but I like the minus 33.5. And those are my plays.
We're like, I think we may be squad riding on cues, I think.
I think you.
Yeah, I just didn't take them because they're playing Notre Dame, and I can't do it. But they probably will beat them because the Fighting Irish have been absolutely atrocious. So I don't want to talk about it any further. We can move on.
Thanks, Cole.
So Basil, let's hear this rivalry action. What do we got this week?
All right, so now that we're getting down to the real rivalry, aside from the Ram Crusader Cup, I think we've got a really fun one. I mean, this is it's a Big Ten rivalry. Like, how could you not love this anymore? And it's the Paul Bunyan Trophy between Michigan and Michigan State. Obviously, considering like the teams that we're talking about here, we know it's old, we know it's historic. And we know it's going to be a great game. I mean, we've seen great games in our lifetime. We've seen great games throughout history. And I just think this one is just set up to be another great one. First meeting was in 1898 when Michigan State was known as Michigan Agricultural College, for the first couple of years of their history. And the trophy was introduced in 1953. As a celebration. Yeah, sorry, that's a little. I pulled up a JPEG a little quickly.
A little print as PDF action there.
Yeah, a little print as PDF action there. So this trophy was created when Michigan State joined the Big Ten Conference. So it was kind of a celebration of, all right, we've got these two historic, all-time great Michigan programs playing each other now officially on a yearly basis. So I kind of like that. I like when trophies are kind of created, as a bit of a token of friendship. Looking at it though, I mean, because if anyone here is a big Stephen King fan, if you want to go up to my other slide, it's a little creepy because it kind of looks like the scary Paul Bunyan statue in the movie It that ends up attacking the whole town at the end, which is actually based on a real Paul Bunyan statue somewhere in Maine. But maybe I'm just projecting a little bit. And actually the Paul Bunyan comes from because college football rivalries love talking about their the industry and the kind of blue collar workers in their respective states. So this is a nod to Michigan's long history as a major lumber producer and lumber exporter. So that's really fun. As an all-time rivalry, Michigan leads this one 71-38-5. And since the introduction of the trophy, Michigan has won that 38 times. State's got that 29 times, and they've tied for it twice. Some really, really crazy results. I think the one that, I think we'll probably be thinking of is the one in 2020 that happened on Halloween, in which Michigan State won 27-24. That's like that really famous picture. Well, not like really famous, but it's kind of become a meme for like any upset right now of the kid in the bright yellow Michigan sweatshirt like this, like in the front row. So hopefully we'll see that again this year. I think Michigan's really, really good this year, so I don't think that's going to be happening. But State's got the ground game to keep this one close. So if you could just pull up my card back up again, I've got this one personally. Michigan money line, State to cover 23 points, because I think 23 points in a game like this where they're really going to be, State's really going to be playing their asses off, like 23 points is a bit disrespectful. So that's what I've got.
Basil, quick question for you. You said they've tied twice. Who gets it? What happens with the trophy when they tie?
I don't know about this specific trophy, but usually the standard is whoever holds it last, like gets to keep it. Like, for example, like the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, which hopefully we'll talk about later on, this season. You know, that's between Army, Navy, Air Force. So if they all beat each other in kind of like a weird triangle of like suckiness, then it just stays at the holder school until the next person gets it.
Gotcha.
I feel like rivalry trophies can't be in a tie.
Well, the last time they tied was 1963. So, like, I mean, college football games can't tie anymore. So,
Yeah.
like a trophy like this can't tie. So, but like a trophy like the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, it can, because it's a you know, a three-way competition.
No love for the Citadel in that, huh?
No. Well, Citadel, no. Well, because the Citadel's not really like the Citadel's not like a service academy. It's a military school, but it's not. It's like VMI. You know what I mean? Like you're not officially affiliated with a branch of the Citadel. So
That's fucking military.
yeah. Also, the Citadel sucks. So.
I knew it was
Well,
coming
I-
somewhere.
I agree with you on the Paul Bunyan side. I do have Michigan money line and State to cover 23. I'm hoping that's a confident cover, and I know a bunch of people do have that. But
Yeah.
in a rivalry game that you're talking about like this, and I think Michigan State. I think Michigan is very, very good. I'm still hoping 23 points is covered between the two.
I mean,
Yeah, I have the same thing. You know, I won't say too much. You guys have pretty much covered it, but you know, it's at the big house. I think that makes a big difference, right? Michigan's at home. They've lost the last 2 years against Michigan State. They're on a 2-game losing streak. So, you know, I think they want to win this game. And then obviously there's college football playoff implications if they lose. So, you know, this is a big game for them. One stat I did read is that the record when Michigan is ranked and Michigan State is not is Michigan has the lead 26-11. So that's pretty convincing. Another reason why I like the Wolverines this week, they have the 5th best defense in all of the FBS. I know Gracie touched upon Illinois lighting it up on that side of the ball this year. Well, Michigan's not far behind them. They're only averaging about 250 yards per game, allowing the other offense per game. So I do think it'll be close. I think Michigan State, they know it's a big rivalry game. They're not having the best year, but I do think it is close. But I like Michigan to take it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in quickly. I totally agree with what everyone said. But I mean, Michigan really, they cannot lose a game before the OSU game. Like, they both have to be undefeated before that game. Like, logistically, I don't know. This is like one of my favorite rivalries. It's something that like got me into college football. Just that one game, you know, where they fumbled it and, you know, Michigan State won at the big house. Like, that was really when I really started to get into college football. So I love this rivalry. Last year was great. That was a great game. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think Michigan will just steamroll them on Saturday because they just can't lose. It's all coming down to OSU, Michigan undefeated in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think I hear you guys, right? It's like Michigan, it's disrespectful to have that large of a spread. I get it. I think Michigan State should be pissed off. And then I look at their losses. I remember clear as day. It was the night before the PLL championship, and I'm going to bed in my hotel room, and I put on ESPN just to go to sleep, and I see Washington kicking the living crap out of Michigan State. That score, it was only decided by 11. That was not representative of how Michigan State played in that game. That was one of the worst football games I've watched at any level. That was bad. And for that reason, I look at the rest of their losses too. They're not good. I mean, 34-7 against Minnesota. Minnesota's a good football team, but like, come on. And then a 14-point loss to Maryland too. Can't really make up their mind on what they want to be this year. There's just too much ambiguity for Michigan State for me. Like, I don't think they can decide what their identity is this year. I don't think they've got it. I really don't. For that reason, Wolverines, I think, are going to they might be able to cover this one. Certainly going Wolves money line, though.
I'll tell you what would be interesting too. We spoke about Michigan and Ohio State, right? Those are the two top dogs in the Big Ten. Well, imagine if Michigan State comes out, pulls off the upset in Ann Arbor, beats the Wolverines, and Ohio State falls to Penn State in Pennsylvania. That would make things very interesting in the Big Ten and in college football as a whole.
Yeah, does Alabama sneak back into the picture after that? I would certainly say so.
What would that even make like the Big Ten title game too? That would make it like you're saying if Penn State and then they come up for in first in that division too, that would make like a Penn State Illinois Big Ten title game.
Yikes!
Which two good teams, two fun teams, but yeah. I mean, I honestly all these results are really just figuring out who's going to play Illinois. The real powerhouse of the Big Ten.
We want Rutgers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right. So it's pretty consensus here. I think another consensus pick is obviously our game of the week. Swaction. Primetime in primetime. We got Jackson State versus Southern. To be completely honest, haven't watched a whole lot of SWAC this season. I'm going to be completely honest.
You haven't?
I mean, I catch the highlights on Barstool of just Dion and all the cool people he gets to bring at the sidelines. I mean, how does a team like that, I mean, granted, I know they have phenomenal talent, but you have guys like Snoop Dogg and Michael Strahan just chilling with you pregame, postgame. These kids, they're 18, 19 years old, hanging out with A-list celebrities. I'm just very surprised how dominant of a team they are.
Hey, that's why he's getting guys to go there, right? I mean, it's just a totally different, market, and I think it's awesome. I was surprised, and we spoke about this before we went live tonight. Kind of surprised that game day is going there, that's the game of the week. But, I don't hate it. Coach Prime in prime time, like you said. Jackson State's been balling out, and I look for them to continue that on a national stage this week and, get a big time win.
Yeah, I think like what you said, Cole, too. It's that's just what happens when your coach. I think we've seen from the beginning when Deion Sanders took this team over. Not only is he trying to build a great program, but he's trying to set these guys up. You know what I mean? Both as football players, as people, as just successful. People in life. And I think that's something he really cares about. And especially now that we've seen, the new rules, the openness to NIL deals, he's going to continue to build that program into something I think that could be really, really special. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it says a lot that the number one overall prospect from this past year, he signed with them, right? I mean, you could go to any school in the country and he goes to Jackson State to play for Dion. That's huge. Not many people talk about that, but that's a big deal.
That was Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Or corner, maybe. I don't know what he played.
Yeah, he's a corner. Are we all squad riding the money line?
Yeah, I think so.
What's the spread? I couldn't find it.
I don't think it's
probably going to be a good amount.
I'll probably do the spread too, honestly.
Probably. I mean, you look at the stats, and there's only two better quarterbacks in FCS than Shedeur Sanders, who's Jackson State's quarterback. One of them's a Fordham guy. Is it Tim DeMorat? Is that how you say it, Tim? Yeah, Tim DeMorat's got – I mean, he's leading the FCS in a sizable difference here. 3,000 yards passing already. And then Lindsey Scott from – is that UIW? What even – is that Incarnate Word?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm amazed at my acronyms here. And the NCAA website, you click on UIW, it doesn't even link back to Incarnate Word. So good work, NCAA. And then Shedeur Sanders, who has just been thrown all over the place. He's got a 75% completion rate. The kid's just balling out. And hell, should he get some NFL looks? Who says no? Primetime's going to get him in for a pro day. And could he be a flyer hey, I know a quarterback that just played 75% of the game the other day, who was an FCS baller. Of course, that team ended up losing 33-14 to the Chicago Bears, but FCS quarterback, do not sleep. Don't sleep on FCS guys.
I will say
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Isn't that his son, the quarterback?
it is. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, look,
Yeah.
his dad he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's one of the best athletes to ever live. So it doesn't shock me that he's absolutely tearing it up in the FCS. But yeah, he should definitely get a look from NFL teams. I mean, we've seen FCS quarterbacks do well at the NFL level before. It's not something that is that foreign. So yeah, we'll see what happens come April at the draft. But I definitely could see him getting picked up by a team.
I literally cannot find the spread anywhere. I've looked on 15 websites. I cannot find it anywhere.
Welcome to FCS betting, Gracie.
Yeah.
So hard.
We're getting you integrated finally.
Maybe the morning of.
I get it 10 minutes before the game.
You can do that too.
It takes forever. It's no one wants to post it. You just have to sign up for a foreign bookie that has I have Bryant moneyline -16 or something like that.
I'm all set on that too.
They're tough.
I think are you done betting Bryant moneyline, Tondo?
Forever.
Forever.
Bryant football's not good. I hope Giving Day gave them all the money for new cleats and new swag and all of this stuff because they're just not a good football team. They're not. It's all eyes are on basketball right now.
I'll take a no comment there. Conflict of interest.
All eyes are on basketball. So that's they will have my forever money. But Bryant football, nope. Fordham's on the hot seat, but that's all right.
If we want to talk some stats though for this Jackson State Southern game too, we're looking at I feel we've been talking about Fordham, Sacramento State, Montana, the regular, not Fordham, but the regular FCS, powerhouses. These Jackson State and Southern are the 5th and 6th highest scoring.
We just lose Basil.
We did.
The universe did not want him to put this.
He did not want to tell us about.
StreamYard's nope, get him off. We don't want this jargon.
All right.
Well,
On that note,
I guess on that note, wait here, he's back.
I was hopping tabs and my finger went over the X on the StreamYard and I oh, I'm gone. So anyway, these are
your stats. There we don't. There's the gods have told you not to.
Yeah, you're numbers. Yeah, so this is the 5th and 6th highest scoring offenses in the country. Jackson State and Southern, respectively, in FCS. So if you're looking to cover, if you're Tondo and you're checking the spreads 10 minutes before kickoff, and it's like a double-digit cover. I'm no shade to Coach Prime, no shade to your son, but last week Campbell limited the quarterback to a season low in pass yards, and they were able to get only lose by 8 points. Or a respectable 8-point loss against an FCS powerhouse. So I think if they're able to limit Sanders, in the air, their Jackson State's run game is doesn't really hold a candle to their pass game. So I think it'll be really interesting, how Southern comes out defensively.
Still like Jackson State though.
Yeah, Jackson State to win, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on that spread.
All good. All right, well that's our show. Week 9 in the books. We got some good juju, some good picks, and let's all be in the positive win column this week. So that's Cole, Gracie, Jake, Sam, and myself. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Go Rams.